So Bayer makes Alka-Seltzer. Did you bring any for this interview?
I don't think I'll need any, will I?
Okay, I don't know. We'll see. Well, let's jump right into it. You recently called 2025 the most difficult year for your turnaround. Why?
Well, this is a year where we have some big tests. One of the tests is something that's actually kind of making news this week, which has to do with glyphosate, aka Roundup, and this is a really important agricultural chemical. It's the most significant agricultural chemical in the world. It's used in more than 80 countries. It's basically the thing that enables no-till farming. So this glyphosate combined with GMO crops is why we can today feed 8 billion people in the world. When I was a child, we struggled to feed 3.5 billion people in the world. So it's sort of table stakes for putting food on the table. And despite the fact that it's been approved for 50 years, it's been reviewed and re-reviewed by the EPA, European Food Safety Authority, Canada, Japan, New Zealand, Australia. Every regulator on the planet has reviewed it and given it the green light. We've been subject for 8 years of sort of endless lawsuits. And the question is this going to be something that will still be available in America? Because we're sort of reaching the end of the road on it.
Yeah, well, I think what you're referring to is that Secretary Kennedy is coming out with the Make America Healthy Again report tomorrow, as we expect. That's probably going to say Roundup is an environmental toxin that contributes to chronic disease. Are you going to respond? I mean, what's your response to that? I'm sure you see it coming. What are you going to tell the secretary when you see that?
Well, first off, I don't want to prejudge as to what the report's going to say, but I think we have to stick to the facts. Okay, there have been more than 1,000 studies of glyphosate. It's been available for 50 years. It's been, again, by the scientists that governments employ. These are not employed by companies. These are the government scientists in places like Europe. For example, the European Food Safety Authority was asked 2 years ago to re-review glyphosate. They did the most extensive study to date on it. All the trials, all the evidence came back, clean bill of health. And so I think what we have to insist on, and I think the farmers are owed this, frankly, the consumers who depend on glyphosate for access to safe and healthy food, that this has to be done open and transparently. It can't be internet influencers and trial lawyers, because it's been the most popular target of the trial lawyers. By the way, trial lawyers, $600 billion industry. For those of you in the audience who don't think the trial lawyers affect you, check your wallet, okay? The average cost of the litigation industry to an American household is, how much do you think? Average cost per American household, $4,000, okay? And if you wonder, well, I don't pay $4,000, where does that come from? Your auto insurance, your home insurance, your medical insurance, and the cost of every product you buy has money going to the trial lawyers. And so we're 10 billion down. Here's the question, though. Why does this matter? So right now, Bayer produces 40% of the world's supply of glyphosate in America. We export it as well. The other 60% comes from one Asian country. If we go out, the glyphosate will still be there. It just won't be produced in America. And it puts American consumers at the mercy of foreign nations.
Okay, but the Axios Vitals team recently reported this. They said some researchers have tested animals and made observational studies that have found connections between chemicals such as glyphosate and chronic inflammation, cancer, neurodegenerative disease, and autism. So are you not concerned about the results of those studies as it relates to animals?
First off, I'm not an expert toxicologist, but I've been in life science industry for 28 years. There are studies and there are studies, okay? There have been more than 1,500 conducted on glyphosate. You have to look at what is the size of the study, what is it simulating. The largest study to date in humans is called the Agriculture Health Study. and that examined people who are using glyphosate intensively. Again, came back, no correlation. So think about it. The EPA scientists who review glyphosate, they have access to the studies you mentioned, as well as all the other studies. The European Food Safety Authorities, they have access to all these studies. Am I qualified to say? No, but we're not relying on me. We're relying on the scientists that we employ, thousands of scientists. I'm saying that the U.S. government employs, that Europe employs, and so do you trust them or do you trust trial lawyers? That's basically what it comes down to. And don't think that the people who are pushing these stories are independent of the trial lawyers. Many of these organizations have very shady funding sources. And by the way, we know that there are billions of dollars of foreign capital going into so-called litigation finance. All right, this is an attack on American businesses. And by the way, our foreign competitors have no lawsuits. It's only Bayer. We're the American producer.
What's the go, no-go moment for you when you have to make a decision on whether Roundup can stay on the market?
Yeah, I think it's in 2025. We have a petition in with the Supreme Court right now to hear the case because we have this crazy regulatory ambiguity. We have a petition in with the Supreme Court. We have requests of legislators in states, in the U.S. Congress. We're talking to the U.S. administration about it. There needs to be clarity on this because right now it's basically benefiting the trial lawyers and it's harming everyone else. Think about future innovation. We're talking about innovation. So we're the largest investor in agriculture R&D in the world. But we're spending some years more money paying the trial lawyers than we pay for R&D to fuel innovation for how we feed the world. How do we have drought-resistant crops, heat-resistant crops? That's Bayer.
To be fair, some of that money is going to alleged victims as well, not just to the trial lawyers.
Yeah, that's key words.
Sure. Let's move on. Now, one of the aspects of this event is AI. You've talked about using AI to tackle hunger. Fascinated to hear how you plan to do that.
It's happening already. So, for example, we create 50,000 new genetic variants of corn every year, corn seed, all right? We can't test 50,000 genetic variants. How do you decide based on the corn genome, which, by the way, there's more genes, active genes in corn, in a corn plant, than in humans? So you have to model that. How do you model it? You have to use AI. That's not generative AI. This is old-fashioned AI. We're using AI for designing, for example, new active ingredients for crop protection. Same thing. You would otherwise be forced to test thousands of compounds or even millions of compounds. We can use new models that are enabled by AI to do sort of in silico modeling on impact in the environment, impact on insects, impact on birds, mammals, humans. It's ubiquitous now.
Seems like everyone should be able to get behind the idea of AI and tackling hunger, right? I mean, is that something like, when is the first way we're going to actually see that manifest, maybe in your earnings, for example, as you can sell products that are going to actually help the world with this issue?
Yeah, I mean, in addition to the fact that, for example, corn seeds, I was in Zambia just 2 months ago. We were opening a new corn seed plant in Zambia. Africa needs to get capable of feeding itself, all right? When there's not enough food in Africa, you have massive migration issues. And obviously, this is a massive human issue as well. So we're putting a corn seed plant there, one plant that is capable of delivering the staple nutrition for 30 million people. Where does AI come in? I mentioned those 50,000 new genetic variants. We have to come up with corn that is drought resistant. We have to come up with more rapid maturing corn, because if you get some water early in the season, but then the rains fail, you need corn that ripens rapidly, right? This can make the difference. By the way, our seeds, they had a massive drought in southern Africa, the harvest before last. This most recent harvest was good, but the harvest before last was bad. I talked to many farmers who said their only production was their Bayer hybrid seeds. because they had a rapid ripening one. So that's just one example of many.
Well, I'm from the Midwest, so I feel like I should know something about corn DNA, but I do not. Okay, you joined Bayer only a couple years ago. You inherited some problems. One of them was massive bureaucracy, something like 12 layers of hierarchy by your estimation, and you've now reduced that to 6 to 7. How did you do that? What did it look like?
Yeah, so actually my passion has been twofold: life sciences and innovation on the one hand, and then how do you actually tackle bureaucracy? Because you hear a lot of talk about that. Most people who say they're going to tackle bureaucracy, they have no idea what they're up against. They don't understand. They think bureaucracy is like a cancer invading a healthy organization. Many of you in different organizations that have bureaucracy, anyone bureaucracy, right? People think, oh, it's something exogenous. It's something that's come in to infect the organization. Don't realize it's actually the organization. If you have 12 layers or 10 layers, which most large organizations have something like that, it's built in. It's not a separate thing. So you actually have to deconstruct the organization and put something totally different in place. So we're taking out half the layers. We've already removed half the management positions in the whole company. We have self-organized teams, and the managers who remain, their job is to make sure that the self-organized teams have what they need to make decisions to drive the mission forward. So that's a very short description of it, but it's something really different.
Any conversation here would be remiss without talking about the T word, tariffs. I guess just 2 guests ago was talking about it. How is it affecting you? And are you having any issues because of it?
So far, we haven't been affected. It's really important to us that this gets worked out, because we actually are a net exporter from America. All right. So we have a trade surplus. Our American operations have a trade surplus, but we have massive trade. You know, for example, in things like crop protection chemicals, it could be we're exporting $2.5 billion and we're importing $2 billion worth. You know, it's those kind of numbers. So this is good for America. We're a net exporter, but if we have tariff barriers, the whole thing it becomes very inefficient, right? Because we've optimized production. This is true in medicines. It's true in our consumer health products. We've optimized production to places where it ought to be. And if we put up barriers now, yeah, it would take our supply chains years to recover from that.
All right, well, Axios, we always like to end with one fun thing. Now, at age 55, my understanding is that you broke your femur in 4 places while skateboarding. Are you still skateboarding after that?
Yeah, first off, I just say that was not fun. No, actually, I did skateboard a few times after I recovered, and each time I came home with my skateboard, my wife was looking at me with a very sad look on her face. And I decided, we've been married 35 years. I'd like to make it to 50, at least 50 years. So I decided to retire officially.
But you're a company man. You used a leave.
That's right. It's a little tip for for everyone who doesn't know it. Yeah, when I was fighting the pain from that, a leave was the go-to. Believe me, it's way better than the alternative. So yeah.
All right, Bill Anderson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Nate.